Alrighty, everybody, the Q&A is back today. So let's get on to the first question of the day. Why do you want a projector and not a TV? Because a good TV can cost $1,000 and I paid like $50 for my projector. 2, I don't have a cable subscription, so there's no point in having a TV. Especially because I don't want a cable subscription so that I cannot watch sports games at home, which is a huge time suck for me traditionally. 3, you can watch a TV during the day. You can only watch a projector in a dark room or at night, which means for me that I'm not watching any TV during the day. Last but not least, I probably honestly wouldn't have either one, but at least having the projector lets me watch shows with my partner, which is something that we enjoy doing together. I rarely watch anything just by myself. Do knee sleeves make less of a difference for hip bias squats in terms of SFR? Knee sleeves shouldn't make any difference whatsoever, guys. For the last time, knee sleeves for hypertrophy should just be loose. They should just keep your knees warm. It shouldn't change anything. Would a body part split be more optimal than push-pull legs because your arms are not exhausted? No. So let's all say this together now. There is no best split. There is no best split. The advantage of any split where you break things down into more parts, like a body part split, a bro split, etc., is that each individual part will get more attention. The downside of any split where you break it into more parts is that you can do those movements and those muscles less frequently. And the vast majority of you are beginners and intermediates who shouldn't even be doing push-pull legs. You should be on an upper-lower split, if not even full body. Is there any benefit to doing a 3 to 4 second eccentric instead of just controlled for hypertrophy? So if you're doing a movement that has a really long amplitude, which means like the absolute range of motion, so maybe something like, for example, a truly to grass pause squat, that is going to have a 3-second eccentric just by virtue of you actually staying in control of it. But if you're doing a low amplitude movement, like let's say a lateral raise out to 90 degrees, and you are exaggerating the eccentric for 3 to 4 seconds, you are just reducing the load so much that it's probably not worth the cost of what you're doing. You're decreasing the SFR, in my opinion. This is usually reverse ego lifting, where people get attached to their technique instead of the weight they use. If you were to get a third dog, what breed would it be? 100% a male charcoal Labrador Retriever, so that in the event that he had a litter with Kona, they would have a 100% chance of creating additional silver, charcoal, and champagne Labradors. What is the best way to get started with real estate investing? Easily house hacking. You can look up resources on house hacking by a guy named Brandon Turner or go to biggerpockets.com. House hacking is where you buy a piece of real estate as your primary residence, which allows you to get really good loan programs like an FHA loan, which requires only 3.5% down, for example. And then you either live in one of the units, or if you buy a house, you rent out some of the rooms. This gets rid of your rent mortgage payment and has your renters subsidizing your rent and mortgage, paying down the loan, etc. If you do it right with the right duplex, you can even live for free while you have 3 tenants in the other 3 units. So house hacking for sure. Do you think casual lifting is filled with too much egomaniacal representation? What are you even talking about? Like people on TikTok more than they're working out? Honestly, man, I'm not a purist. I don't care. I don't care what casual lifting is filled with. I really don't give a shit. Winners, people who want to win, won't be doing that. They'll be focused on their workouts. And if there are people who enjoy the social aspect of getting together with their buddies to make TikToks more than they actually enjoy hard training, so what? Sounds like a better hobby than some of the shit I got up to in high school. Thoughts on TB500 and BPC157 for tendon and other injury healing? I think a lot of people who have real technique and refuse to take days off, refuse to do deloads, they try to use peptides to cover all of that up instead of actually fixing the problem at the root, and that won't work. If you have a technique that's hurting your joints constantly and you try to cover that up with experimental peptides, your joints are still going to hurt. So you have to fix the root of the problem, and once you do that, they work. Do fat needs change between a surplus and a deficit? They don't change. Your needs don't change, but what is going to be best for your situation will change. For example, if you're deep into a surplus and you're struggling to eat, you might have your fat somewhere around the maximum intake that it can be without it having negative body composition effects. If you are at the very end of a deficit, you might have your fat at the minimum level it can be without adverse health consequences. So whatever the optimal level is, it really isn't going to change between a surplus or a deficit, but where you operate within the acceptable range might, because of the reality of your goals. When you're dieting, you have to cut something, and when you're bulking, it helps to add from anywhere. Do you still do the DC style extreme stretches? Do you find them beneficial? Yes, I still do them, and yes, I find them beneficial. I find them especially beneficial on all the lower body ones. I am dieting right now, and sedentary as a plant. Would adding cardio a few times a week be a net positive? Yes, in my opinion. If you are not heavy enough and you're sedentary, it is nearly impossible to get legitimately lean. Like the thermodynamic math just isn't there. So like if you get to the point where your maintenance calories are sub 2,000, you're 160 pounds or something, and you're sedentary, you'll have to drop the calories down to like 1,100 just to lose 1 pound a week. And from there, you're not going to get enough micronutrients. You're going to feel like shit 24/7. And you're probably just not going to be able to adhere. This is really common with females that I've worked with in the past. Is they weigh like 130 pounds, 120 pounds, 140 pounds, whatever. And without some added activity, they simply have to eat too little food to accomplish their goals. So if you can't get in steps, low intensity cardio is a great way to bump that number up. Why do you use yoga blocks on machine pressing movements? It's to raise the starting height of the movement so that at the bottom of the movement, I'm fully stretching the target muscle instead of bouncing off of the machine stopper or even fully stopping on the machine stopper. Movements that apply load under stretch are going to have a better SFR almost unilaterally. So this increases the SFR. If I lowered the seat height instead and lowered it to where I could unrack without raising the starting height with the block, what would happen is then my starting point for every rep would be off of the machine stopper, which means that instead of having that tension in the bottom of the movement stretching the target muscle, there would be no tension at all. It would just be resting on the machine stopper. So the blocks are there to raise the starting height so that I can actually do full range of motion for the movement. What are Golden State's chances to repeat on a scale of 1 to 10? Man, really low, really low. And it's not because they don't have the talent to do it. It's obviously still more or less the same team. It's the same core group of players that have been together for many years, but they're aging and their defense is significantly worse this year than in any other run that they've had. And the biggest thing going against them right now is they would have to win every single series on the road. And while that's not entirely impossible, there's just no reason to think that Golden State is as good as they were last year. There's nothing in the numbers that suggests it. There's nothing in their record that suggests it. They didn't make a bunch of acquisitions that were complete game changers. So it's not zero because I think that the West is pretty wide open this year. You have like the Kings as a 3 seed, and I'm never going to believe they're legitimate until they win a playoff series with that group. You have the Grizzlies at the 2 seed. The Nuggets are what they are as well. So the West is wide open, but you're not beating Boston or Milwaukee with question marks. All right, everybody, that is the end of the video. So you know the drill. Like the video if you like the video. Questions or comments below. What's the third thing? Subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, have a good day. And a physique photo instead of a dog photo. Sorry.